Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the Olmec Colossal Heads. The Olmec civilization has often been referred to as the mother culture of Mesoamerica, and from somewhere between 1400 to 400 BC, the civilization rose in the Mexican Gulf Coast. Now, over 2 millennia later, in 1862, a farmer was digging that very same land that they once lived on, and he came across an extremely large stone head. From here, research continued, and this turned out to be one of 17 stone heads that are thought to have been portraits of the rulers at the time. The statues are all somewhere from 5 to 10 feet tall, but they are extremely heavy. Like, heavier than a full-grown elephant. The reason it is believed that these stone heads were made to model rulers of the time is because they all share similar features, but they are each made with different expressions, slightly different facial features, and different headdresses. While the first discovery of the stone head was close to the source of the basalt stone that was used to make them, most of the heads are like 60 miles away from there. So we have absolutely no idea how these ancient people were able to make these stones. We just know it wasn't an easy task by any means. In our number 9 spot today, we have Gafsa Lake. A desert isn't exactly the first place you think of when someone asks if you want to go to the lake, but how about when a lake miraculously pops up in the middle of one? In 2014, in a desert in Tunisia, a lake seemingly just popped out of nowhere. And not like a small lake either. This lake was around 2.6 acres large, and it was estimated to be about 18 meters deep. As you can imagine, people of course started swimming in it immediately rather than questioning the safety of a lake that came out of nowhere, and this turned out to not be the best idea. What a surprise. While it isn't 100% clear how this anomaly happened, it is possible that the water may have come from the nearby phosphate mines, as there might have been an underground spring that was freed in the mining process. This, however, would contaminate the water with carcinogens, some of them potentially radioactive. So while it would certainly be really cool to see this spontaneous lake, the risks probably aren't worth taking a dip. In our number 8 spot today, we have Sacsayhuaman. This site is located in Cuzco, Peru, and it is another fascinating and seemingly impossible stone structure that was built by the Incas. This structure was once believed to have been a fortress, but now it is believed it may have actually been used for things like ceremonies. Why this is another incredible creation is because of the fact that we just can't quite figure out how it could have been built. The stones in the structure fit together so perfectly that they are able to stay together without anything holding them in place, and they've done so for years and years. This, coupled with how large some of the stones were, is enough to completely stump experts. Despite how well the stones all fit together, apparently they all have different shapes, which has led researchers to believe that the building design was kind of made up as the structure was being built. Imagine that. Improvising building a structure, and it lasts for hundreds of years and goes on to stump humanity for a while. In our number 7 spot today, we have the Taos Hum. In the small city of Taos, New Mexico, for years, residents and visitors alike have been puzzled by a mysterious sound in the air that no one can quite find the source of. It is said that only about 2% of residents reported hearing this low-frequency desert hum, and the theories as to what could be going on here truly are endless. They range from believing it's caused by some sort of unusual acoustics all the way to mass hysteria and other far more sinister top-secret theories. Things are further confused by the fact that those who hear the sounds actually hear many different sounds, meaning that it might be more of a subjective experience rather than an objective sound. At this point, it is so unclear we may never truly get any kind of answer as to what we're looking for. In our number 6 spot today, we have fairy circles. Fairy circles sounds like the cutest and sweetest thing, and while this isn't a horrifying discovery, it's not as cute as the name might suggest. In the Namib Desert, there has been these circles found in the middle of areas of vegetation where perfectly fine and fertile ground has no grass growing at all. It's never found in any other shape, only circles, and these circles are evenly spaced out, which is super weird. Some people suspected fire or wind, but these patches can last for years and years at a time, some lasting for a whole 75 years. It wasn't until 2017 that a more reasonable explanation came into play, and that is that these circles might be the sites of previous termite colonies, and the plant root systems do this automatically in order to efficiently distribute water during the inevitable shortages that are going to happen in a desert environment. This is just a theory, however, so no one really knows yet what is going on here, so I think I'll just stick to the theory that it's fairies. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Movile Cave. This cave is located in Romania, just a few kilometers from the coast of the Black Sea, and it was first discovered in 1986. This cave has been isolated from the outside world for millions of years, and basically everything that goes on inside of it is different than what we are used to. The cave life is not based on photosynthesis and rather chemosynthesis. The level of oxygen in the cave is around a third of what is normally found in in the atmosphere, and of the 48 species found in the cave, 33 of them were endemic, meaning that they can't be found anywhere else in the world. It is just crazy that it is possible for 5.5 million years that creatures on this planet could be living an entirely different life than the rest of us, inside of a previously undiscovered place. In our number 4 spot today, we have Point Nemo. This is the most remote location on Earth. It's officially known as the oceanic pole of inaccessibility because it's the furthest point away from land. This area is surrounded by more than 1,000 miles of ocean in every direction. There's obviously no humans who live even close to Point Nemo, which is why it is called that in the first place, Nemo being Latin for no one. While this may not be a scientifically impossible place, it's just this one fact that is honestly so shocking to me, and it is what got this place a spot on this list. This location is so isolated that the closest people to Nemo aren't even on this Earth. Since the inhabited area closest to the point is over 1,000 miles away, the humans aboard the International Space Station are way closer than anyone on land. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Doubletree. This Doubletree is located in Italy, and when you look at it at first, it just simply doesn't seem possible. Referred to as the Doubletree of Cazorzo, this is a healthy cherry tree that is growing out of a mulberry tree. This isn't the first ever case of a parasitic tree, but what sets this one apart is its health and longevity. Previous examples of parasitic trees have been small, stunted trees that don't live for very long, but in this case these trees are fully formed and healthy, and no one is really sure how this all happened. The roots of the cherry tree were able to push through the mulberry tree's trunk where they could extend into the soil below, and thus the healthiest Doubletree ever was born. In our number 2 spot today, we have Lake Karachay. This is a small lake that is located in central Russia in the southern Ural Mountains. While it was once just a regular old lake, starting in 1951, the Soviet Union began using it as a dumping ground for radioactive waste from the Mayak, which was the nearby nuclear waste storage and reprocessing facility. While this lake was originally too small to be used as a source of cooling water, they found that it was the perfect size to be a convenient dumping ground for high-level radioactive material that was too hot to store in the facility's underground vats. While the original intention was to only use the lake for storage purposes and then one day to return the radioactive material to the plant, this of course didn't work out even close to according to plan, considering the lake quickly turned lethal. I didn't know it took a genius to figure that out, but I suppose hindsight is 2020. The lake is now one of the most contaminated, polluted, and dangerous places in the entire world, and the radioactivity in the lake is comparable to what it was once like in Chernobyl. The lake is very interesting to look at, but maybe not in the best way. It is said that even being near the lake for as short as an hour is enough to give a deadly dose of radiation. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Nazca Lines. If you were to head to the Nazca Desert, just about 200 miles southeast of Lima in southern Peru, you'd find the most famous geoglyphs in the world, the Nazca Lines. Researchers believe that these lines might be something like 2 millennia old, and other than how they are incredible works of art, they are completely baffling. The geoglyphs are more than 800 long white lines etched into the desert, as well as 300 geometric shapes and 70 different animal figures. The biggest shape stretches around 1,200 feet across, which leads to my point about why these lines are so incredibly fascinating. These images can only be fully seen from high above in the air, so thinking back 2,000 years ago, how did humans make these without the vantage points we have now? I'm not exactly sure, but it is definitely nothing shy of amazing. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Death Valley. Coming in hot, right off the top, pun intended. With a name like Death Valley, it's gotta be pretty bad, right? Death Valley sits on the California-Nevada border, and it's known of course for its extreme heat. I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan, so I grew up with the exact opposite. This is just a nightmare, one of the hottest places on Earth. The only deserts on the planet that come close to the same level of heat are in the Middle East and Africa. Those are the 3 hottest spots. In July 2018, Death Valley was recorded as the hottest place the Earth has ever seen. For 4 days in a row, the average temperature was as high as 127 degrees Fahrenheit or 52 degrees Celsius. You know, so that I can understand how hot that is. Imagine it's 52 degrees outside, or 127 if you do Fahrenheit. I'm sweating just thinking about Death Valley. In our number 9 spot today, we have Kawah Ijen. Located in Indonesia, this is one of the most remarkable and interesting places on Earth. Firstly, this active volcano emits hot, flammable, sulfurous gases. These gases ignite as they enter the oxygen-rich atmosphere of Earth, and this causes them to burn with a stunning blue flame. Further scientific processes also allows there to be a flow of molten sulfur that also has the same striking blue flame. At night is when you really get quite a show from this coloring, as it quite literally looks like a flow of blue lava. The other incredible thing about this location is that there is a 1-kilometer wide caldera that is filled with turquoise blue water. The watercolor, while it looks gorgeous, is a result of the extreme acidity as well as a high concentration of dissolved metals. It truly is an astonishing place to look at and really is magnificent. In our number 8 spot today we have the Devil's Kettle. This area is said to hold one of Minnesota's greatest mysteries. As the Brule River flows through in order to make its way toward Lake Superior, there is a point where it makes an 800-foot drop in 8 miles. Because of this journey through time, waterfalls have been created as the water erodes the rocky terrain. One waterfall in particular is the one we want to talk about today. The stream splits into two as it falls over the edge. One of the two streams flows exactly how you would think it does, while the other is a little more mysterious. On this side, the water rushes into a cavern that seems to go nowhere. This cavern never fills up somehow, but no one can figure out where the water is going. It's a strange phenomena that has resulted in the fall gaining the nickname the Devil's Kettle. It is said that people have tried to place things in the water that might help show them where the water is flowing to, but despite these efforts, the items were just never seen again. In our number 7 spot today, we have Lake Natron. We've got a few bodies of water on this list, and each one is horrible in their own unique way. Lake Natron in North Tanzania is considered one of the most inhospitable areas in the world. The lake's extreme levels of sodium carbonate decahydrate makes the water corrosive to human skin and eyes. The thing that really catches your eye and makes you want to investigate the lake further is its red hue. This is due to cyanobacteria, but the only animal you'll see in this area is a flamingo. The protection of this lake is vital for us and wildlife. In our number 6 spot today, we have Hessdalen Valley. This is an area that is located in rural central Norway, and while I'm sure it's a wonderful place, we're specifically talking today about what is called the Hessdalen lights. These lights are of unknown origin, they appear in both the day and the night, and they sort of just float through the valley. It is said that the time where the lights appeared the most frequently was between the end of 1981 and 1984, with 15 to 20 sightings per week, but that as of 2010, sightings of the lights is only around 10 to 20 times annually. The lights are usually white, yellow, or red, and sometimes they appear for only a few seconds, while other times they'll stick around for over an hour. The weirdest thing to me is that these lights move. Sometimes they move insanely fast, other times they're slowly swaying back and forth, and sometimes they're just hovering there. No one knows where these lights come from, and I'm just gonna say it. Aliens. There are some currently working hypotheses that one day we may be able to explain this phenomena, but for now we're just left guessing. But I'm not guessing. I'm convinced it's aliens. In our number 5 spot today, we have lightning. In western Venezuela, right over the Catatumbo River, there are these insane, intense lightning storms, and it's a complete atmospheric phenomenon. This lightning occurs during 140 to 160 nights a year, 9 hours per day, and from 16 to 40 times per minute. That is absolutely insane. That's so much lightning. Another thing that's so fascinating about this lightning is that it is colorful and it doesn't produce any thunder. The lightning does change its frequency up from time to time, and at one point it stopped for a few weeks, and people thought that maybe it was going to have been exhausted forever, but that changed when the lightning came back, putting it right back on our list of mysteries that we just can't quite figure out. Many people have studied this lightning, trying to figure out how exactly it has been created and what makes this phenomena what it is, but we just aren't yet quite sure. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Boiling River. It is pretty common knowledge that the Amazon is home to the longest river in the world, but there is another river found in the Amazon rainforest that is equally as astonishing, but for a different reason. The Boiling River got its name for being exactly that, as it is a river that is near a boiling point at all times. The water temperature reaches up to 93 degrees Celsius, which is just shy of the boiling point, and the steam coming off of the surface of the water is an obvious warning to all living creatures that it is absolutely unswimmable. You could, however, poach an egg in this river, although that is probably not the recommended cooking method. There is still debate around the source of heat for this river, but as of right now it is believed to be entirely natural and geothermal. Since the river is not near any active volcanoes or geothermal vents, however, it is quite an anomaly. There are of course more local legends that state the river is a place of power, and that the Mother of the Waters is responsible for the creation of this incredible and strange river, but either way, just don't swim in the river and everything will be fine. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Darvaza gas crater. This one is so cool to me, I will talk about it anytime I get the chance. The Darvaza gas crater has been nicknamed the door to hell, and for a pretty good reason. The crater is located in Darvaza, Turkmenistan, and serves as a popular destination for tourists to go and see. The crater is the aftermath of a natural gas field that collapsed into a cavern. The field was being drilled into because it was thought to be a substantial oil site, but quickly after they discovered its natural gas pocket, it ended up collapsing. It is said that the fire was lit by geologists who wanted to prevent the spread of methane gas. It looks so cool, but one of the craziest things about it is that it has been burning since 1971. The scientists originally predicted that it would burn for a few weeks, but it's been 50 years. The crater is 69 meters or 226 feet in diameter and is 30 meters or 98 feet deep. One random but kind of creepy fact about the crater is that camel spiders flock to it in the evening because of its light and warmth, but they often end up falling in to their death. In our number 2 spot today we have Lake Vostok. Lake Vostok is one of the Earth's lost worlds, despite it being the world's 6th largest lake by volume, and that is because it is a subglacial lake that has been covered in a thick layer of ice for millions and millions of years. Because of this thick layer of ice, there is little to no sunlight that is able to reach the water, but despite this and the freezing cold temperature, it is believed that this lake is the home to many undiscovered species. It is extremely difficult to search this water because of the ice, and scientists thankfully don't want to contaminate the water with things like antifreeze, so for now the lake and all it has to offer is going to stay unknown and unexplored. In our number 1 spot today we have northern Patagonia. This is one of the most interesting and wildest landscapes in the entire world, and most definitely in Chile alone. Northern Patagonia is home to one of the largest ice fields that is outside of the polar regions. When we combine the temperate rainforests, hot springs, and huge glaciers, it can get a bit dicey in terms of exploration and mapping. Northern Patagonia is by far the most rugged and remote place in the country, but it is said to be absolutely breathtaking. It is full of unclimbed mountains, clear rivers, and turquoise lakes, but exploring it is very much a test on humans. As much as it would be amazing to see everything it has to offer, this one is most definitely not for the average tourist. In our number 9 spot today we have Mount Roraima. This mountain is located on the border of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, and it is the highest mountain in its chain. This mountain features an unusual tabletop summit and is extremely hard to explore due to its steep slopes and just generally rough terrain. Aside from the physical aspect, however, it is extremely difficult to get permission to climb this mountain because of its triple border. There is an ancient belief that goes hand in hand with this mountain that says that this mountain was once the home to a tree that produced all of the fruits and vegetables in the world. This spiritual belief has of course only increased the difficulty in getting permission to summit the mountain. While it has been climbed before, and a few lucky people have followed the exact same trail as the initial climb, much of the rest of the mountain has never been explored and therefore remains uncharted territory. It is said that this mountain has over 5,000 different plant species that grow only there and nowhere else, and it is said that it looks roughly the same as it did millions and millions of years ago. This place truly is magical, and it looks like a land that floats above the clouds.